everyone, welcome back to Opal&Mint. I am Ashley and today I'm going to be testing out two different watercolor papers from the same brand. One is a more student grade and one's a more artist grade, but they are both 100% cotton, so I want to see what the difference is, if it is worth the price to get the artist grade paper or if the student grade is just as good. So what brand am I talking about? This particular 100% cotton paper has been, for quite a while, been fairly popular amongst watercolor YouTube anyways. And this is the Academy watercolor paper pad from a brand, I don't know how to say the name, so I'm just gonna put it on the screen. I don't want to say it wrong. So this is the paper that a lot of people know, a lot of people use, and it is 100% cotton and it is a fabulous paper. But the same brand also offers a artist watercolor 100% cotton paper. So the question is, what's the difference? Is it worth a few more dollars to get the artist watercolor paper? Well, that's what we're gonna find out today. So I'm going to paint a couple of things. I wanna paint, obviously with the same paints, I'm gonna use the same paints, and I also wanna do a couple of different paintings, and I wanna do the same painting on different pages. Does that make sense? So we're gonna be putting them head to head, Academy versus artist, and let's see if I have a preference of one or the other or if they're exactly the same. I'm gonna put these side by side, and I think what I'll do is I'm gonna do some florals because it's easy, it's loose, and I'll go on one paper and then the other, and we'll just kind of go back and forth and see if we can spot any differences. So let's flip the camera down and start painting. I wanted to note the Academy watercolor paper used to come with this really cool leaf to get the papers off, and now it comes with this like knife looking thing. But if you don't know how to take papers off of a block, these specific ones come with this tool, but there is one little spot at the top that is not glued. So where's the other one? This one's a little messed up. Let's use the leaf. I like the leaf better. So you're gonna stick it in this little opening, and then you just go all around the edge to remove the paper from the block. I should probably be doing this on the top down so you can see better, but anyways, that is how you remove the paper from the block. Okay, let me clear up this spot. I'm working on a commission piece right now, so let me get this off. Oh, I gotta sneeze. I have been filming the process of this commissioned piece that I'm working on, and so I will probably be doing a video on how I painted this when it's finished and I have delivered it. I also painted with these Coloro. I don't know how you say this brand name, but I got these in yesterday for that painting, and I think I don't need to do a video on these because these are fantastic paints. So we have Academy here on the left and then the artist on the right. Let's just go through what they look like visually. Obviously, very similar packaging, color. They are this brand right here. It says it's smaller down here on this one. Both 7 by 4.9 inches. They are both 100% cotton. Where does it say? 100% cotton, acid-free. This one says acid-free. This one doesn't say it, but I'm assuming it. Used for watercolor, pen drawing, all sketch, gouache, scrub resistant. The artist one says scrub resistant. Modifiable, natural white, natural texture, environmental protection, fit for all artists, made in China. So the artist has a lot more information on it in English. But yeah, so let's look at the actual paper itself. So I have used the Academy before. So I have more experience with it. I have not used the artist one at all yet. So this will be kind of a first impression on this paper, but we're going to be, there we go, that pink was still on there. We're going to be going and painting several things. So just looking at the paper, let me see if I can zoom in any, and the texture of the paper. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker so you can maybe see the texture. The artist does have a little bit more texture to it. So here is the Academy, and here is the Artist. Yeah, you can definitely see it there. There's definitely a little bit more of a texture on the Artist. So, but other than that, they feel very similar, just a little bit toothier. So I would compare this more like Arch's texture versus the Legion that I like. So here is some ARTIST watercolor paper, and actually the Student actually looks a little bit more like it than the Artist. Interesting. And then the Legion Stonehenge, which I love, it actually is raised a little bit more than this, but the like pattern of it is more similar. This is my personal favorite. This is the Legion Stonehenge. This is a little bit smoother. Okay, so this is smoother, this is next, and Arch's is next, roughest, and then the Artist is the roughest of all of them. I hope that made some kind of sense. So, and again, the texture of the paper is really a personal preference. A lot of people like the ARTIST watercolor paper, and honestly, I prefer the softer Stonehenge. So, let's see. With that in mind, with my taste in mind, the Academy might be more to my taste. This, when I bought this on Amazon, this was around $14 for 20 sheets, and this was around $17, I believe, for 20 sheets. So about $3 more to get the Artist quality 100% cotton paper. Let's see, what paints do I want to use? I need to turn. I want to use my ocean paper. I love my ocean paper paints. Oh, they're so pretty. All right, so I'm going to use my ocean paper paints for this one, and then we'll do one other one with Daniel Smith. So we'll use both kinds of paint on these papers. All right, now that we're all set up, I'm also going to be using my Rhapsody Kolinsky Sable Artist brushes. I have been using these nonstop since I got them, and I do want to say these are not necessary. You do not need natural hair brushes. You do not need artist fancy quality brushes to be doing a painting like this, but I have them and I'm going to use them for this. So the next painting I will use my Hobby Lobby brushes, but we're going to start off with this. That was a lot of unnecessary words. Okay, so what kind of flowers should I paint? Start with this light blue here. I think this is called Overcast. Yeah, I think this one's Overcast. All right, so I'm gonna do this little star shape here, and then from there make my petals. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in. This is a very, very nice thick watercolor cotton paper. Go in. That one got long, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take a darker blue and I'm going to see how these paints melt into each other. And we'll see if there's any difference between the two papers in how these paints react. Man, those colors are gorgeous. All right, and then I'm gonna take the black shade and just do one little dot in the middle for that flower. Okay, so I am not gonna mess with that. I'm gonna let it do whatever it wants to do now, and I'm gonna go on to this paper and do the exact same thing. So starting with the lighter shade, we're gonna do a little bit of a star. So feeling it under the brush, it honestly isn't a huge difference. It definitely is more textured. So again, a little bit more like arches, a little bit more rough. And so in that process, you need more water to cover the whole texture. Let's go ahead and get in this darker shade while, ooh. Okay. Right. Beautiful. It's pretty. My battery is dying, of course. Put a little dot of this black. So I think it was a little bit more wet on this side, so it bloomed a little bit more. Yeah, see, that was definitely a little bit more wet. And the reason that it was more wet is because I needed more water to cover that texture. So again, interesting. That black dot moved. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna leave that. All right, the battery is dying, of course. So let me get a new battery. We're gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna do another flower. Just basically gonna repeat the process. This is so off-center now. You move the wrong way. All right, so I'm gonna repeat the process with another color. So I'm gonna take this grayish purple, and I'm gonna go on this side. Stays wet for a nice amount of time. Okay, and then repeat the process over here. No. I am overlapping these on purpose. I'm wanting to see after they've been sitting for just a little bit how they blend, because it is definitely still wet, and those are giving a nice beautiful blend. It's nice and soft because it's not too wet, so it didn't explode. All right, going in with a darker shade. Honestly, these are performing very similarly. Again, it's really kind of down to that texture difference. Forgot the little black dot. Whew. It does seem to explode just a little bit more on this side, because even with it, I tried to get this one wet, really wet too. I think that this side explodes a little bit more, and see the blend is a little bit softer. I really want to mess with this because I can make this look better. I want to see how the paper does, but see if I can fix that. Okay. Interesting. If you have tried both of these, I want to know opinions down below, but I can definitely see a little bit of difference. Let's let these dry. I'm gonna do one more. Okay. All right, let's see how this explodes. This one right here is very wet, so. Yeah, I think the color just explodes a little bit more on the artist paper. The blooms are a little bit more, what's the word? I don't know. Yeah, let me do the artist paper now. Definitely a little bit grittier. Fill in that texture with water. If you like Arches paper, then you will definitely prefer the Artist, I think. I like Arches paper, but I think it's a little bit too gritty for me. All right, let's see how this blooms. Well, they are so similar. I don't know. We're gonna do another painting to see, but we're gonna let this dry. That's gorgeous, isn't it? It's just a blob, but that's fine. Put a touch of black. And I also want to try another kind of paint too. These are handmade paints, so they're not going to be as perfectly consistent as, you know, the Daniel Smith. So I'm fully aware this is not gorgeous. I'm just playing with the paints and the papers. I'm doing some testing here. So my main goal was not to make this look like a perfect painting. Okay, with that said, I'm gonna let these dry and we'll see what they look like. But and we're gonna move on to Daniel Smith paints and see how those do. And I think I'm gonna do some roses and maybe some daisies, some flowers I'm very familiar with. And yeah, we will test that out. If you've tried these both though, I do want to know your opinions in the comments below. I took a little break to watch Christy and Tammy K's live, and I am back now. So let's look and see. Let me put this here. Oh, let's take a look and see how these dried. Again, keep in mind this is the Academy, this is the Artist. I actually prefer the way the Academy dried, but we're gonna do a couple of different exercises and paint some more flowers. Let's see if I can get in just a little bit closer. Okay, and I'm gonna use Daniel Smith paints now. So I'm gonna turn them this way. Let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna do just an ombre. I'm gonna do some of my, if you haven't seen my Watercolor 101 video, learning some of the basic techniques, I'm gonna do a couple of those exercises on here just to see the differences and how they react with the paper. So the first one is gonna be a one color fade, ombre, whatever you wanna call it. And I'm gonna go in with this bright pink here. And we're just gonna fade this out. Just watch how that goes on the paper. Okay, and then to compare that, we're gonna do the exact same thing on the right side, which is the Artist. Professional quality, whatever you want to call it. Definitely taking more water to fill in all those cracks, because again, it is a rougher paper. Oh, and just dabbed my brush on a painting. That was good. And then to further demonstrate that, I'm gonna do a two color ombre. So we're gonna take this beautiful bright blue, and then I'm gonna take my favorite yellow, which they're running out, but that's okay. I'm gonna fade that into the blue. Just watch those colors dance. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, those colors are so pretty. Okay, and then let's see how that works on the Artist Watercolor paper. Let's get some of this yellow, washing off my brush, and blending that out into the blue. Beautiful. Oh, that is so pretty. Okay, so we're gonna let those dry and see how those do, but while we're letting that dry, I'm gonna do some roses. Whoops, I'm gonna do some roses down here. So I'm gonna start focusing on this one. I'm not gonna talk through this part, I'm just gonna paint. Just gonna relax, paint some roses, and have some fun here. So I may put some music over this, I don't know, but I am just going to paint. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I am using a Master's Touch round number 4. So I'm gonna let these dry, and I'm gonna do a couple of more flowers here just to further test this. Okay, so I have clearly painted several different things on these pages. I'm gonna let them fully dry and then we're going to look at the differences and stuff. But I tried to fill this page with tons of different tests. But I'm gonna let this dry completely and then we will come back and talk about how I think these two papers performed. Okay. So to test this just a little bit further, I'm going to do a couple more techniques. I'm going to do half of the page starting with a wet surface and just watching how colors blend and bleed into that surface. And then on the other half, I don't know yet. I'm making this up as I go. Isn't that true of everything in life? Just make it up as we go along. Okay, so obviously I'm going to use the same color. One thing I do want to actually show with this specific test is one thing that will be very evidently different, I'm assuming, is granulating paints on these two different papers, because obviously the artist grade is a lot more textured, so the granulated paints should show quite a bit more. And to demonstrate that, I'm actually going to use the Potter's Pink in the Ocean paper palette that I have. I've got a giant brush here for a small pan, but that's okay. So I'm going to cover this with this Potter's Pink. And I want to see the difference between the two papers in this process. Because this is probably the most granulating paint that I have, and so this should show it the best. So I'm going to try to do an even-ish wash of this Potter's Pink and do the same thing on this side. Hope I got a little bit of that other color. I like sprayed the paper there a little bit with the paint. Go. Trying to coat this evenly. Okay, and then I'm going to let those dry so we can see if there are any differences. On the other half, we're going to put a very deep, beautiful blue, and we're going to do a little bit of lifting. So I'm going to take this, I'm trying to remember which color. I think this is a Winsor & Newton blue, but I don't remember if it's indigo or I don't know at the moment, but I'm going to try and get this all over. Just spread this around. Pretty beautiful blue. A little bit more here. And then I'm gonna just take my paper towel and do a little bit of lifting. Okay, just a little sky there, and I'm going to repeat the process over here. Whoops. I'm being very messy and sloppy and quick and just like slapping this paint on. And again, this is more textured. It is taking a little bit more water to completely cover. Take the paper towel and do the same thing. Fluffy little clouds. Do some like long clouds down here. Pretty. Okay, gonna let those completely dry and then we'll come back and look at everything and see if we can make sense of the differences in these papers. Okay, so these are pretty dry, so let's talk about the different tests. First off, we have the ombre at the top. Again, there will be, like, this is a test done by humans, so there is gonna be some differences in the way I applied things, so we can't like completely, you know, compare 100% side by side. But it looks like this paper took the color a little bit better. Like this is a little bit deeper, and yes, it is completely possible that I just applied a lot more paint on this side. But I like this ombre better on this paper. And then this one, I think they did fairly evenly, very similarly. There's something about the way I feel this paper is taking the color of just a tiny, tiny bit richer. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like it is. This, I tried just to do an even wash of the same color. I feel like they're very similar. Again, the main difference is the texture and the amount of water you need for what you're doing. These like light roses that I did, I feel like the blends from color to color are a little bit smoother and softer on this side, but nothing so dramatic that it makes a huge difference. I do feel like the artist paper is taking the color just a little bit richer. And to further investigate that specific claim or whatever I'm trying to figure out, I want to take... we're gonna take a color. I want a bold color. Which color should I do? Let's do this. Okay. So I'm gonna take this purple. I'm trying to get the same amount. See, I need a little bit more water on this side. Now there's more on this side than this side. I feel like it just grabs it a little bit more. I could be completely wrong. I'm gonna do just a light wash of it. And then try to do, there we go, similar amount of light wash. I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking here too. The edges of the watercolor to me are a little bit different between the two papers. I feel like this leaves a little bit more of a darker ring around it. And again, I don't know how to explain that or what that is. But even like in the blue flower here, there's like a darker rim around the edge of the watercolor. I'm not really sure what that indicates. But overall, I think these papers both perform beautifully. The difference between them is not huge. just the texture. So if you prefer a more textured paper and it's worth $3 more to you, then I would say go for the Artist over the Academy. But honestly, I'm going to continue to play with these some more so I can have a more formed and concrete opinion. But honestly, I have no problem with the Academy watercolor paper, and I think a lot of people have been using it and love it. So, whoops, I just stacked those on top of each other. But I can see a little bit more granulation. Again, this paint granulates a lot, but they both look beautiful to me. I feel like the edges are maybe just a hair softer on the Artist, but I would love to know what your opinions are. I messed this swatch up. It wasn't dry and I messed it up. I would love to know what your opinions are on these two papers. Have you used them? Have you tried them? Do you have a preference of one or the other? For me, I'm going to use these both up, and then after that, I don't know. I'm probably going to stick with the Academy. I'm going to continue testing it out though, but that does look so much, that specific test looks better, and it could be, I just wonder, I'm going to redo that test and I'll insert it here because I want to know if I did something wrong. That is going to wrap it up for this video. If you did enjoy this, guys, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I don't know how to talk to you without my face and my hands are here. So if you haven't already and you want to see future videos, hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Today, I'm going to be testing out two different watercolor. I don't know what that was. Do you need water? Sorry, I got distracted by my plants here. And I'm not going to talk through it. Oh my gosh, I can't talk.